Right now we're going to welcome in Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City, as we do every week at this time, I should say, and we'll catch up on some high school basketball. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, Sully, how are you this morning?
How's the fifth grade basketball team doing?
Winding down, just like everybody's basketball season.
Is it March Madness for the 12-year-olds?
Yeah, everybody, that's one thing basketball at all levels has in common is some madness in March. So everybody gets to participate a little bit. It's just a matter of how long you get to hang in there with.
Mike, we just had Michaela Baker, senior from Ocean City, and what a fun young lady to talk to. I mean, it's funny to think about back when she was a freshman and really barely got a word after a game, as a sophomore when she first became a starter. And it's neat to see these kids kind of evolve throughout their high school careers. I'm starting to get to the point where I've covered the entire career of some of these kids. I know you've covered their parents in some cases. So talk about that a little bit and about these high school kids and how they evolve throughout their career in terms of handling the media. And we spoke to Mike Frankel earlier, and I'm just always impressed with how these kids handle themselves after games, particularly tough losses. And even a guy like Tim Fitzpatrick of Holy Spirit who loses his final wrestling match of his career, and obviously devastating for him, but he steps right up there with three reporters in his face. And to be able to handle yourself in that situation as a 17, 18-year-old kid is just amazing to me.
Yeah, I mean, I say it all the time that you see high school kids, especially this time of year, where they have losses that kind of end their high school career and stuff. Big time losses. They sort of come out of that locker room kind of red eyes and stuff like that, and a couple minutes later they're talking to a group of reporters, and I've said several times, I've been fortunate enough to be cover some professional events, and I think at times these high school kids handle these losses in these big spots better than professional athletes who are paid millions of dollars. It's just a real credit to them. And as far as seeing them, you see a senior again. You go through it. You talk about Mickey Baker over there at Ocean City. You saw with Ray Bethea Jr. over at Atlantic City. After the Shawnee game, I was talking to him. Interviewing him after that game. Here's a kid I've been talking to for 3-4 years, and the growth is really tremendous because if you start talking to a lot of these talented athletes when they're 14, 15 years old, they're kind of shy, they're kind of looking down at their feet when they're talking to you and stuff like that. And 2 to 3 years later, when they're 17 and 18, everybody's well spoken, and they're giving thoughtful, insightful answers, and it's really, that's part of the growth of high school sports and the exciting, the positive of covering high school sports is seeing the growth of the athletes, not only on the playing fields but also, off the playing fields. You're basically watching people grow up from being kids to young men and women.
And that's a difficult thing for sports reporters, guys like me and you and Kevin Minnick and Mark Tribble and all these other guys that cover South Jersey sports, is we get to know these kids throughout their careers, and then you see them just devastated by a loss, and you're like, I got to stick my phone or my recorder in their face and try to get a comment or two. And it's a tough thing. You don't want to do that, but to be able to do your job that's part of it. So I don't think people really understand that that's a tough thing for us to do as well.
Well, it's not easy, but I think it's positive for everybody. I mean, one thing that I always think of, and I think coaches of great programs understand, and I think this is a good lesson, is that, a lot of these kids who lose these big games, they get a lot of nice stuff written about them along the way, a lot of positive stuff written, a lot of accolades and stuff like that. And so, if you're going to get that, on the flip side of it, when things don't go the way you planned it or don't go the way you hoped, I think it's a good sort of life lesson to sort of step up and sort of talk and, for a couple of minutes. I mean, nobody is, pulling a Mike Wallace and interrogating anybody or anything like that. It's more of a friendly conversation. So I think that's the flip side. That's a life lesson that sort of comes with it is, you get a lot of publicity, a lot of praise when things go your way, but when things don't go your way, you step up and give a sentence or two about what happened and stuff like that. And I just think that's a positive for everybody involved.
And Mike, one thing I touched on earlier with Mike Frankel of SNJ Today was, and you can speak to this probably better than anybody, is that the kids in South Jersey really taking pride in their, not only their team and their school, but their area. And I think a lot of that has to do with these kids playing alongside each other in summer leagues and travel leagues and getting to know kids from other teams. You see kids make an announcement on Twitter, hey, I just got an offer from this school or that school, and you see kids from other schools saying, hey, congratulations. And I know when I was in high school at Lacey, I didn't want anybody at Central to have any kind of success, you know. It was our big rival, but it's so much different these days, and it's cool to see these kids really having a lot of pride in South Jersey. I think a lot of times South Jersey kids tend to get overshadowed by all the talent that's up in North Jersey.
Yeah, I think that is a social media factor. In today's world, everybody knows everybody through, and it's easy to talk to people through Twitter, through whatever, social media you're on. I think these kids just all know each other, like you said, from travel teams, from different AAU teams, and in many cases, maybe they've grown up playing against each other in travel basketball or AAU basketball, and it's really easy to sort of reach out and communicate with people and form friendships today because of social media. And I think that has a lot to do with it. So I think, while social media might have a lot of problems with it, one of the good things is it really allows people to communicate easily with each other and get to know each other. So you're not so much isolated anymore. Somebody from Deptford, could easily know somebody from Cape May and vice versa.
And we saw that in the wrestling season where, the Clearview program kind of almost adopted Cody Dix of Egg Harbor Township. They had a neat thing that sort of connected them, and it was neat to see every day during the state finals. You're seeing posts from Clearview on Facebook and Twitter like, hey, good luck, Cody, go Cody. And it's just weird to see programs from another school rooting for one of their rivals throughout the season.
Yeah, and that's, a lot of times when you compete against a team and you're out there, you form a bond, you form a friendship, you form a relationship that carries over, and you see that with coaches that are friends with each other. You see different coaches of different schools. Like Ocean City, John Bruno's good friends with Joe Kessler of Shawnee. I've seen John at a lot of Shawnee games, the past week and things like that. So I think that bond sort of carries over, that, if you kind of compete against each other, that respect for each other grows, and the friendship comes out of it, and that carries on, and that lasts longer than the 2 or 3 minute wrestling match or the 32-minute basketball game. That that can carry on for a lifetime of friendship.
Talk with Mike McGarry of the Press of Atlantic City, and Mike, all the Press of AC area basketball teams as well as the Glory Days area teams are done in the state playoffs. So give us your thoughts on this year's state playoff runs for some of these teams, and what's your big takeaways from this basketball postseason?
Well, I think Ocean City girls probably, they lose last night to Ewing, 62-37. They kind of get overwhelmed in that second quarter by a very good Ewing team. You knew it was going to be a rough game for Ocean City. Ocean City played Ewing last year, beat them 58-57 in overtime. Ewing returned, just about everybody on the team, including their big center, Maya Grimes, who had 11 points and 17 rebounds last night. Ocean City returned just one starter, so you knew it was going to be tough for the Red Raiders. And they kind of hung in there for the first quarter. In the second quarter, they missed a couple of outside shots, and Ewing hit some timely threes. 2 threes in the last minute of the second quarter to sort of build an 11-point halftime lead, and the game kind of, they controlled the game from there. But that doesn't take away from what was really, a wonderful run through the state tournament for Ocean City. Nobody thought, it's the old cliche, nobody thought we were going to be here, but nobody thought they were going to be there. They upset Winslow Township in the semifinals, and then, of course, their 4 games with Mainland Regional on the 4th try. They get the undefeated Mustangs to win the South Jersey title, and then they go on and fall to Ewing. But just a tremendous state tournament run by Ocean City. Really one that they'll, really one of the more memorable runs of Coach Paul Baruchi's 17 seasons over there. So I think they're the kind of the major story to come out of the press area. They're the team that went the furthest, and they were the last team to finish up playing last night.
almost could be like a mini 30 for 30. Those 4 games between Ocean City and Mainland, 3 go to overtime. That was definitely one of the defining stories of this basketball season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and Mainland with Kylie Watson having a standout season in the 4 games, and it wasn't just any 4 games. There were 4 games, with a lot at stake, including a Cape Atlantic League championship game and a South Jersey title game. So it's not like they played, in a regular season. They obviously played 2 regular season games, but it wasn't like they played in 3 regular season games in a Christmas tournament or something. Right. Yeah. They played with a lot on the line. They played for the Cape Atlantic League championship. They played for the South Jersey championship. So I think, that's obviously that's a big highlight of the season. On the boys' side, I think you look at Atlantic City and Wildwood Catholic, kind of, their games this year. Wildwood Catholic ends up as the Cape Atlantic League championship. Both teams fall short of South Jersey titles, but, still wonderful seasons for both those teams. And St. Augustine kind of hanging in there, after 3 straight appearances in the South Jersey final. They lose in the semifinals of the non-public A tournament to Camden Catholic, who eventually ends up winning the South Jersey non-public A championship. So, kind of be interesting to see where those are kind of the big 3 programs of the Cape Atlantic League go. Kind of interesting to see, where they go, because, they each graduate a lot of talent this year.
Great stuff, as always, Mike. We appreciate you taking a few minutes, and we'll catch up with you next week, buddy.
All right, Sully, appreciate it. Thanks for a few minutes.
All right, have a great weekend, man.
See you later.
That was Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City. Always enjoyed getting his take on high school sports. Does a great job.